Hey guys, what's going on? It's David here from Scissor Explosion, and today I'm bringing you guys another deck profile, and this one I'm very excited to bring you. This is a Shining Lugia Tapu Koko spread deck. This is really cool deck. It's a very good anti-meta deck. A version of this deck got 15th place at the last regional championship we had last weekend, and I'm very excited to be bringing you this. I've been working very hard on this. I did take it and play it a little bit at our local card shop, and I probably went up against probably the worst matchup for this deck. My buddy Chris was playing Naganadel Stakataka. And Naganadel Stakataka, the thing about Stakataka is the Ultra Wall, his ability Ultra Wall stops all damage under your Ultra Beast by 10, and that's even when they're on the bench. So you couldn't get off. I couldn't get off any Tapu Koko spreads. Even if I did something like Black Ray GX, it would do 70 damage to each of his Pokemon, but that was a really bad matchup. But then I played against another friend and I won. I worked out some consistency issues, and I think I finally got this deck exactly where I wanted. And I'd even be willing to go up against Chris again with his Naganadel Stakataka. So anyway, I digress. Shining Lugia, really powerful card. And without further ado, let's get into this deck. We are almost at 100 subscribers, guys. We're up to 94 at the time of this recording. So once we reach 100, we'll be doing another Pokemon GX giveaway. So y'all stay tuned for that. I'll post a video once we get there and tell y'all how we're going to give away those Pokemon GX. But here we go with the deck profile. First off, 3 copies of Shining Lugia. Shining Lugia has 130 HP, and he's got 2 attacks. The attack Argent Wing for 3 colorless energies. If your opponent's active Pokemon has an ability, this attack does 60 more damage. So it can hit for 120 on Pokemon with abilities. That's 2-shotting almost anything in the game. Yeah, 2-shotting almost everything in the game. At a choice band, you're hitting up 150, plus your Tapu Koko spread damage, and or your Black Ray GX. Usually, you'll be able to start one-shotting things after you Black Ray. So, Shining Lugia, really strong. Arrow Force for 4 colorless energies. Discard an energy from this Pokemon for 130 damage. Really strong. When Shining Lugia first came out, he wasn't very hyped. Everybody's like, it's just a Lugia card. Not too bad, but not too great either. And it did have some high energy cost. But we have a way to, around that now, we have Malamar. And Malamar charges this Lugia up really fast. And then you can start taking some knockouts. You'll be like taking 2 prizes on all your attacks, and your opponent will be taking 1 prize. So usually you'll be more ahead than your opponent. But anyway, into the next Pokemon. 3 copies of Shining Lugia. And next up, we run 3 copies of Tapu Koko for that Flying Flip attack. That's about it. And the free retreat is another good thing. Flying Flip is 20 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. Start spreading damage on your opponent's Pokemon, and excuse me. Start spreading damage on your opponent's Pokemon and start making your knockouts a lot easier to obtain. Plus, if you use Guzma, you can Guzma into this and then retreat into whatever you want. So, yeah, really powerful play. 3 copies of Tapu Koko. And then we got 4 copies of Inkay. This is our energy acceleration deck, energy acceleration Pokemon for the deck. Hypnosis can be useful sometimes too. If we find ourselves short of an attacker or short of a retreat, we can attach an energy and Hypnosis. Hope they stay asleep. So 4 copies of Inkay, and we use those in order to get to our 3 copies of Malamar. Malamar has that Psychic Recharge ability. Once during your turn before you attack, you can attach a Psychic Energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. Really strong. You use this to charge up. You can even charge up Tapu Koko. You could charge up... we do play 1 copy of Necrozma GX in this deck for that Black Ray GX. Charge up your Lugia really fast. So yeah, Malamar is one of the backbone cards to this deck. So 3 copies of Malamar. And next up, I play 2 copies of Oranguru. We don't play any Tapu Lele in this deck, so Oranguru is really detrimental to this deck's build. You've got to empty your hand in order to instruct. Plus, he's a decent attacker too. You can charge him up with Malamar's ability as well. But instruct lets you, once during your turn, before your attack, you can draw till you have 3 cards in your hand, and that's really not that hard to do. We do have a lot of ways to empty our hands. So yeah, 2 copies of Oranguru. Really good card for this deck. I play a couple of 1-ofs. 1 copy of Mimikyu. Mimikyu I feel is really good in this deck because you can charge it up with your Malamar first thing, and then you can come up and just blaze your opponent with their own attack. So yeah, Mimikyu is really useful. 1 retreat is really good too. Don't have to waste all those energies, and you still keep the 1 energy on him if he survives, and he still remains a threat to your opponent. So 1 copy of Mimikyu. Scoot that over a little bit so y'all can see it. And the one GX we play is one copy of Necrozma GX. Necrozma GX is a really good Pokemon, and the main reason he's in here is for Black Ray GX. 3 colorless energies, this attack does 100 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon EX and Pokemon GX. Prismatic Burst is also an option, because we do play Psychic Energies and we play Malamar, so we could charge him up as potentially in one turn and hit for 190. Pretty good option, but the main reason he's here is for that Black Ray GX, to allow our Lugia to start one-shotting your opponent's Pokemon GX in play. So one copy of Necrozma. There is no Tapu Lele in here, as I mentioned before. This is a Shrine deck, similar to the Buzzwole Garbodor Shrine decks that are out there right now. I feel this deck is really strong. I'm not 100% sure if it's as strong as the Buzzwole deck, but time will tell. So far, this deck got 15th place at that tournament. And the Buzzwole decks, I mean, I think all the top 8 were all the Buzzwole Garbodor decks. But that is a deck we are planning on profiling for you guys as well. So stay tuned for that. Next up to the supporters, we play 4 copies of Cynthia. We need 4 just so we can have maximum consistency in the deck. Shuffle your hand to your deck and draw 6 cards. Oops. Next up, we play 4 copies of Lily. No Tapu Lele, so we've got to go with as many draw supporters as we can, and Lily is one of the best ones to draw in your first turn. Draw till you have 6 cards in your hand. If it's your first turn, you can draw till you have 8. It's a very, very, very good card in this deck. 2 copies of Guzma. I'm only playing 2 copies because we play Palpad, and we also play Escape Rope in this deck. And a lot of the times, it really doesn't matter what you're KOing in this deck as long as you're KOing something. So you sometimes you need that Guzma in order to hit your opponent on a certain GX that's a really big threat to you. But most of the time, as long as you KO something, you're going to be all right. So 2 copies of Guzma. We also do play Palpad, though. As I mentioned, 2 recycle those. And the last supporter we play is 1 copy of Judge, just to detriment our opponent a little bit. I don't think I used that word correctly. To put our opponent behind a little bit. That's probably what I should have said. Each player shuffles their hands into their deck and draws 4 cards. So 1 copy of Judge. And that's it for the supporters, guys. Pretty low supporter count. But so far I've found that the 4 Lilies, the 4 Cynthias, I think those are sufficient enough. Plus our Oranguru for draw support. So far, I don't have any complaints for my supporter line. But onto the items, 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Discard 2 cards from your hand, search deck for any Pokemon. Just the basic search for any Pokemon deck. You can play Mysterious Treasure in this deck, depending on your build. I do not play Mysterious Treasure myself, but because I don't feel I have enough Psychic Pokemon to play it. And so far, I haven't really needed it. When I first built the deck, I played 2 Mysterious Treasure, and I found myself not needing them at all. So up to you if you'd like to play it. You can also play like the Deoxys that has Mewtwo from Generations attack or Evolutions. Has the same attack as that Mewtwo, which is a decent threat on like those baby Buzzwole decks. But we also do play like Mimikyu and Necrozma and even Malamar can come up and attack and hit some decent damage on those guys. So up to y'all what you want to do with this version of your deck. Then we have 4 copies of Acrobite for that added consistency. We can also, if we happen to draw into a Psychic Energy, ditch it to the discard pile and have it there for Malamar's Psychic Recharge ability. 2 copies of Choice Band. Choice Band's really good to hit extra numbers on those EXs and GXs. Well, I guess unless you're playing Expanded, you won't see any EXs, but 30 more damage on your opponent's active Pokemon EX or GX. So it'll make our Shining Lugia hit for 160 with Aero Force, I believe. Excuse me. Hit for 160. Plus your Tapu Koko damage, you could hit 180, so you can knock out things like Tapu Lele, Rayquaza GX, and stuff like that. So 2 copies of Choice Band. 2 copies of Escape Rope. Escape Rope's really good for getting those Pokemon out of the active without having to discard anything like a double colorless energy or anything like that. Each player switches their active Pokemon if they're benched, and first your opponent switches. So you can kind of see what your opponent's going to switch into and decide what you're going to switch into after that. I usually just switch into Tapu Koko, then retreat into whatever I want, back into my Lugia that I already had active or something like that. So 2 copies of Escape Rope. We have a couple other cards in here as items. 2 copies of Rescue Stretcher. Just to get back our Orangurus or our Malamars. I've even had some plays where I Ultra Ball away and Malamar and maybe a Psychic Energy, get an Inkay onto the bench, and then next turn I'll go for Rescue Stretcher if I have it in my hand, put it onto the Inkay, evolve it, and then start Psychic Recharging onto your Pokemon. So 2 copies of Rescue Stretcher. 1 copy of Counter Catcher, and Counter Catcher is really neat in here. I've even thought about upping this to 2, but so far 1's doing all right. It's an item card, but it's like a Lysander. You only play this card if your opponent has more prize cards remaining. No, if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent, then you get to choose one of their bench Pokemon and bring it to the active. So it's like a Lysander, but it's in an item card, so it can be really useful. Bring up a GX that's really threatening to you, and then get your Lugia charged up, retreat your Koko into your Lugia, and then start taking those knockouts where you need to take them. So 1 copy of Counter Catcher. And the last item we play is Pal Pad. Shuffle 2 supporters from discard pile into your deck, just to get those Lilies, those Guzmas, those Cynthias back into the deck. Maybe even Judge. Get those back into the deck and have them for later. So 1 copy of Pal Pad. And this would not be an anti-meta Shrine deck without 4 copies of Shrine of Punishment. This deck, this card right now in the meta is like a key card. It doesn't seem like 1 damage counter between turns on each GX is a lot, but it's a lot. It builds up really fast. It makes your Tapu Koko spread essentially hit for 40 damage. Because you'll do 20, and then you'll pass turn, they'll take 10. If they don't get rid of it, they'll take another 10. That's 40 damage right there. And if you're doing that to something like Tapu Lele, on second turn, you could bring up Lugia, hit with Aero Force, and then knock it out. As long as you don't even need a choice band. So it hits for 130 plus 40 is 170. There you go. With a choice band, though, you could knock out things like, what could you knock out? You can knock out like Buzzwole, Lapras GX, stuff like that. Anything that has 190 HP, even your Banette GX, if you ever see that making play. But yeah, Shrine of Punishment is a really good card. Nothing you should sleep on. I even see some players with GX decks playing Shrine of Punishment just because it just makes your numbers so much better. And if your opponent can't get rid of it, then Shrine of Punishment is just going to start stacking damage on all your GXs, making them so much easier to one-shot. So 4 copies of Shrine of Punishment. Then guys, to end off the deck, we play 8 copies of basic Psychic Energy. I feel like 8 is a very comfortable number. I haven't had any problems getting my energies into the discard pile for Malamar's ability. But yeah, I think 8's probably about the basic amount that you play in a deck like this. And then 4 copies of Double Colorless Energy. Double Colorless has a lot of utility in this deck. You can use it on Necrozma. You can attach a Double Colorless and then use your Malamar's ability to add an energy onto him, and then he's ready to Black Ray. You can even attach it to something like a Rangaroo. You can attach it Lugia, and then make it to where you only need 2 Psychic Energies to attack. And then also, of course, Tapu Koko does his Flying Flip for Double Colorless. So yeah, Double Colorless has a lot of utility in this deck. It's very important for this deck. But that is it, guys. That is the deck profile. It's a very powerful deck. If you play against it, proceed with caution. Or just take an Aganadel Stack Attack deck. Yeah, I'm going to have to try that matchup again with Chris, because that was a very awkward matchup. I started Tapu Koko, and he got down 2 Stack Attackers, and I didn't even realize until I attacked that the attack wouldn't do any damage, because it prevents damage while on the bench as well. Yeah, and he even plays a tech of like Metal Frying Pan in his deck. He attaches those to the Stack Attackers and makes it to where they take 60 less, because he usually has 3 Stack Attackers at any given time. But anyway, any deck other than Naganadel Stack Attacker that plays GX heavy, this deck is really good against them. Shining Lugia hits really hard for a non-GX, and plus, you got Malamar there to back you up. You can be ready as early as turn 2, depending on your draw. So yeah, Shining Lugia is a really good card. We are going to be getting up a Buzzwole Garb deck, or maybe a Buzzwole Weavile. We haven't decided yet, but that is something we are looking at in the future to get up for you guys. But y'all be sure and subscribe if you haven't been here before. Like I said, we're going to be giving away have another Pokemon GX giveaway. I believe we're giving away 10 this time, once we reach 100 subscribers. So we're really close, and we really like y'all to be a part of that. So y'all be sure and subscribe, like, and comment down below. And this is David from Scissor Explosion, signing out.